This is the OTB Television Network, a service of Capital District Off-Track Betting.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino. What is another wintry day? Apparently, the southern part of the Northeast is going to have horrific weather. It is Thursday. They are not scheduled to race at the Big A, so don't have to worry about that. But the Mid-Atlantic, they seem to be under another winter storm warning. It's happening, etc. But Seth and I, we have the warmer climates today.
Thankfully, because, and I got Dave Rodman coming up a little bit later on Racing Across America. We'll keep our eyes. I haven't heard, did you see his Laurel off and running or not at this point? I haven't seen. Penn National and Charlestown canceled yesterday for today, so I know they're out of the mix.
Listening to the people in the greater D.C. area at about 6:30 this morning, I do not anticipate they're going to run at Laurel.
Nor did
today.
Rodman yesterday when I contacted him, but we still have him on the show because coming up on Saturday, a couple nice stakes races, so we'll look out at those, the Campbell and the Fritchie. So one way or the other, we'll look a little Laurel racing, keep our fingers crossed that things clear up by the weekend, because this is supposed to go tonight into tomorrow.
Right. I think Aqueduct is in trouble tomorrow, listening to the way the weather is. I mean, this is, I don't know what, obviously we're more prepared for snowstorm, but in case you missed it last night, Duke in North Carolina College Hoop was postponed, and they were talking about that needing to be postponed in the middle of the afternoon. I have a friend who lives in Charlotte, and she knew that today was a snow day for her. She never thought that would occur down in Charlotte, North Carolina, but that's the way it was. If you watched Tampa yesterday, first 7 races looked beautiful. Then they got to the 8th race, and you were like, well, that's sort of a change. And then the 8th race was washed off the turf. And what I happened to notice at Tampa was, if you notice, and I bring this up from time to time because it's the daily double paid $501, the late double at Tampa. The parlay was $850. I mean, it is difficult for me. You really could project out by guessing what the Mechie horse in the last race was going to be, better than 10-1. So it just, you can't cost yourself $350 for a $2 wager. And I think you will find most times, especially in the double, haven't seen it as often with the pick 3 because it's hard to chart it. But in the double, Seth, I think when you have long shots win, I think you always get hosed in the double. And when I say always, I mean 80% of the time. Nothing is always except the sun coming up in the east. But boy, I'll tell you, when you have long shots in the double, to me, it looks like as rewarding as the double is supposed to be, I'm not so sure it works out that way.
Yeah, the double's funny too because a lot of people play their numbers, and that knocks down the price just automatically. There's no handicapping involved sometimes. So the fact of the matter is, though, I don't know whether a lot of people, particularly if you come up with a $500 double, I don't know whether a lot of people are going back and looking and lament. I mean, I think the average guy, they should, but I don't know whether a lot of people do.
And I always say it this way. Think about this. For a little thinking, Seth, you get a $350 losing streak covered. I mean, for a lot of people, a $350 losing streak is a nice buffer to have just by applying, as I used to say on my radio show, is for thinking. Because in the double, it's plastered right up there for you. And you're not going to you see the win odds, you see the probable pay for the double, you can sort of guess within 2 or 3 points on the win mutual what the horse is going to be on the backside of the double.
There's also the other problem, though. You like one horse in the first leg and you like 3 horses in the next leg. How do you parlay that? It's a $6 bet.
So you're spreading.
It's a $6 bet as a double. But if you put your $2 on the horse in the first leg and he pays the $30 or whatever, you're not now going to make it a $90 up.
Right, but then you're supposed to, in truthfulness, you're supposed to then divide your 501 double by 3, and now it's a $170 double.
So what you're saying is you take the 30 and you put $10 each.
Yeah, you have to. Yeah, you have to.
But that's going to cut down your parlay price.
No, it'll always stay this the same moving forward because the ratio is the same. The only difference is you have to go into your pocket more to cover it. Because if you're investing $6 to get the 501 daily double, you're not investing $2. So now your double's really only $170 because you put in 6 because you spread. You cost yourself the.
But I think for most people, yeah.
Well, mathematics works for everybody.
Yeah, but it's $6 as opposed to getting that parlay. Now you're upping it to $90.
Yeah, but the ratio is always the same. You're taking a $2 bet chasing 250 to 1 or chasing 425 to 1 when you hold the same opinion. I mean, if you put the horse in the mix, that means you like the horse. So if you bet $6 into a double and you spread it, then you're right. You have to bet $6 into the parlay. The ratio is still the same. You know, you just can't, and I always talk about this, about maximizing your return. It's covering the future losing streak that I always look to. It is like, and for the small player, $350 is, the average small player is not going to go through the 350 on a losing streak. They're going to win before it. But, and the other thing to me is, the double is supposed to, it's supposed to be the other way. The double is supposed to advance your risk, or else we just would always have parlays. And I do think a lot of times the other day at Laurel, Dave Rodman won't remember it, but they had an $8 daily double the other day. And the parlay was, you know, $6.20. Now, I'm not chasing either of them, but you can't let a 25% profit go. I mean, you just can't play the game and let the profit go out the window because, as we all know, certainly I know, it is difficult to win. But when you win, you have to maximize it. And with the double, it stares you right in the face. It's just like the guys who play Quinellas and Exactas. The number's right in front of you. If the Quinella is
the number's in front of you with a probable pay, but you also don't know what the odds are going to be in the second race.
But if you play you could guess within 2 points what the Mechie horse was going to be, and he had to be a much different horse. I mean,
yeah, but now going back to this $8 and $6 difference, you weren't going to be able to predict that.
No, but like I said, I also would never play the game there. If you like the $50 horse on top, you got to be dialed into the race, the next race. When you see the double come up 501, you got to be thinking, I'm getting hosed here. That's not the right price, so you move on. And not only that, 3 out of 4 odds-on horses lost at Tampa Bay yesterday. But what didn't happen at Tampa, and I'll tell you, I always wonder if it's optical illusions, but boy, I watch Tampa regularly. And I'll tell you, on the dirt, that 4-path is so inviting. And I know the one horse won on the rail yesterday, but remember, he was the one odds-on horse. I broke down his name because he was life and death. The only odds-on horse, Ultra Pasando, who won in the lane yesterday along the rail, he was the only one of the 4 odds-on horses that won yesterday, and he was life and death. And you can guess it by the horse running in the 4-path. So to me, the track bias on the dirt at at Tampa Bay is alive and kicking, as that group said about 25 years ago, in excess. So, like I said, you watch races and you see a horse, guy yells up, "Oh, Seymour Mino, the rail was good." The horse was 4 to 5, life and death on the rail. Yeah, it's great. You think you're going to make a living running up the rail on the dirt at Tampa Bay? Good luck to you.
That is important for people who are trying to define biases. You got to be looking at the prices of the horses and really the makeup of each particular race. Because yeah, if it's a string of 3 to 5 shots or 4 to 5 shots that are winning in a particular bias, yeah, it's just the horse that was expected to
win. And matter of fact, I'd even go so far to say is when you watch the race, and I know there are some people out there that think I'm a yo-yo, it more proves your point. It's like the horse's life and death on the rail to win at odds on. It's like, yes, that helps my point, not the others. So, matter of fact, and also I will say this about the race yesterday late. This is a reach for me, but I do believe this. When I say a reach, it'd be hard to prove. The one thing I like to use, Seth, about so-called price horses winning races is if the horse is 25 to 1 and wins a race, you might think it got some help somewhere along the line. I mean, I'm not adverse to, as I say often when I do it, these horses are the wrong price. The 8th and 9th race yesterday, and I think because it was raining, it did change the race. If you watch the 8th and 9th yesterday, now remember, it was a 23 to 1 shot and a 25 to, I apologize, a 14 to 1 shot and a 23 to 1 shot that won. They both ran the same exact race. They both were up on the pace and about the 3 path and blew the race open on the turn and never looked back. My point being, I think when the moisture hit the racetrack, that running style aided, because when you have a horse that's almost $60 and a horse that's almost $30, you think you need a little help. And when they both ran the same exact winning race, I was like, aha. I think the 8th and 9th yesterday was a little bit different than 1 through 7. Remember, the 9th was the only one off the turf yesterday. But just a thought. And I like the people walking away with the $501 daily double. It's like, you realize you just left $350 at the window? Not so good. What did you have yesterday, Gulfstream?
Yeah, I did Gulfstream yesterday, and they had a little weather right at the end of the day that didn't really affect them at all, but they kind of went right to the post time for the last race to avoid getting hit with any more weather. It just was kind of sprinkling the last race, and yesterday.
You saw our guy Joe Bravo pulled the Joel Rosario move that we like so much. Blew the race open on the turn.
Oh, yeah.
I had to be thinking, I didn't know if you picked him, but I'm like, that's Seth and my move, baby. Blow the race open and roll the dice late in the lane.
Particularly these days where they let the horses make that slow pace. So, as they come out of the backstretch into the turn, and there's that horse that's just sitting off the flank of the front runner, and you can tell the jock is thinking, I'll wait to the top of the stretch and make my move. And my thought is, get them now. Make them come get you. And so I love it when they go early. But yesterday,
I think Joe Bravo was the only double winner yesterday down in South Florida. He's having a very good meeting.
Speaking of very good multiple winners, how about Taylor Rice on Monday again at Aqueduct, another 3 on Monday.
It's gotten to be, I think, the last 10 racing days in New York, I don't know, she might have 20, 21 Ws. I mean, she's going great guns.
And she's getting tied in with the right people and whatnot.
No, Jacobson picked her up, and that just helps. You ready for Tampa Bay, my friend?
Yeah, just again to go to yesterday, Gulfstream, I was 3 for 10 on top. Had 3 plays of the day. One of them hit, and one there was a scratch, so it reduced the play a little bit. So it was a little bit of a loss. I was a little disappointed with the plays. When I took a Jonathan Shepard first-time starter that went off at decent odds, and I've said it before probably, within the first furlong whether these first-time starters are well met. And it's the racing game, and I get it, but I hate it when there's it's obviously an education
practice.
Race. It comes out of the gate, and you're looking at that chicklet floating, and
the wrong way.
Then they hit the top of the stretch, and it comes like gangbusters.
Yeah.
Gives them a nice education. I think that's wrong for the bettors, but I get it. It's the game. But that was the Shepherd. You knew after the first furlong that chicklet is disappearing from the screen. Then there was a nice late run. So that was one that we didn't get, but then the next one came out in our favor, a little $48 exacta there, and then the last one with the scratch, that didn't help things. But, so it was an okay day with treading water a little bit, but we'll see what we can do today at Tampa.
Well, I know yesterday One Proud Gal in the second was like the one horse I think was higher than 9-2 that won yesterday. Most prices were $11 or single digits. And I've heard, I've never experienced, but I guess in Europe, trainers are allowed to denote that their horse is like a training race or something, and they protect the better or something. I've heard that. I've never lived it or watched it or something, but I've heard that. I always thought that would be good and useful in the United States. I don't think we'll ever get there. But what we are going to get is Tampa Bay Downs, which were...
Although they did have, which I thought was great, they'd done away with it.
Oh,
for years
at
and years.
Fairgrounds. Training
They
races.
had the training races.
Well, they had the weight trials at Saratoga, et cetera.
I thought it was a great
There was
idea.
a lot
about 2 or 3 years ago, they did
I
away
agree
with
with that. And they used to put them, They used to put them where the workout line was and it said TR.
Yeah.
We're going to go to Tampa Bay, and we're hoping that the weather that was late yesterday afternoon has gotten out. But please watch the racetrack, especially when you get a little bit of weather yesterday. But I think if you watch the 8th and 9th race yesterday, Seth, they look like mirrors of each other except for the silks. In the opener, we're going to have 4-year-olds and up fillies and mares, maiden claimers in for 8, running a mile 40.
And by the way, while we were talking, I did pull up the Laurel Twitter feed, and Laurel has canceled.
Yeah, I could see that.
6, 3, 7, and 2 is the way I see the opener. The number 6 is Janie's Girl, or Janie's Girl. I think it's probably Janie's Girl. Has some back numbers. It's just one of those, it's a weak field of low-priced maiden claimers. Nobody's really jumping off the page. So this is a tepid selection on the back numbers. The last couple of starts, well, I mean, if you go 2 back at Penn National, the buyer figure was decent as compared to this field. Last time out on the move down to Tampa, not so much. But maybe needed that one off a little bit of a layoff, the better part of a month and a half or so. But again, I'm just kind of going back to the earlier numbers, and in comparison with the rest of this field, just a tepid nod in a weak field for Janney's Girl. Second spot, we'll go with the number 3, Ciullini. 4 to 5 on the morning. I don't know whether anybody in this field should be 4 to 5, but I certainly don't see it on this horse. Last time out, 4th by 10 lengths. Before that, an okay 3rd by 5, but with a buyer figure that was very low. Before that, 4th by 12. 4 to 5 on the morning line. I'll be interested to see if the betting public has that kind of confidence in this horse. That said, it is Dale Bennett, high percentage trainer, and it's a horse that, given the complexion of the rest of this field, has at least shown a little bit of life. So certainly belongs in the mix, but I wouldn't take a short price. Third spot, the number 7, Alaskan Dawn, who might rate higher for me, but does have a 10-pound apprentice that is not showing any wins so far in the career. So just on that, I think, I can't move this horse up any higher, although I think talent-wise probably deserves to be right up in the mix. So I use it, but with some trepidation because of the jockey. First at Tampa, 6, 3, 7, and 2.
And as I said, remember, 75% of the odds-on horses yesterday at the betting window lost at Tampa Bay. On to the second. We're going to have 3-year-olds coming out of the trees, which is 7 Ace at Tampa Bay. Claimers in for 16.
And I found this a tough go separating the top few. I think you can go in a number of directions amongst the top 4 or 5 in here, but I wound up going 3, 1, 2, and 4. The number 3, Determinate. Broke the maiden for a tag, 3 starts back. And the last couple has been in some optional claimers for much higher tags. Broke the maiden for 25 back on the move from Churchill to Tampa back in December. And then again, maybe a little bit ambitiously placed for Buff Bradley. Now comes back at the $16,000 tag. And I think should be a pretty good fit and compete with this bunch. Second spot, the plain one, Pine Tree Pro. I'm not as convinced on the other half of the entry, but Pine Tree Pro, I think this is one who also broke the maiden for a tag and did so moving out of maiden special weight company. So this horse kind of showed the comfort level in the claiming game, broke it for 32. I think the move to the 16 level, this isn't a 16 conditional, this is a 16 open, but just looking at the complexion of the field here, I think this horse is going to be a decent fit with this particular bunch. And then in the third spot, the number 2, Raisback, who broke the maiden on the move from Woodbine, so maybe showed a little bit of a comfort zone here at Tampa Bay, a little budding horse for a course perhaps. In the second, and again, I think the top 4 or 5 are actually kind of evenly matched, but I wound up going 3, 1, 2, and 4.
On to the third race, we're going to have 3-year-olds maiden claimers this time in for $12,500, racing 6 furlongs.
5, 4, 2, and 1. The number 5 is German Chocolate. And I pull the trigger here on a first-time starter with some caution. This is a horse, Henny Hughes on top. I like that. The dam produced a sibling I've talked about plenty on the air, Strike Impact, who's owned by our friend Jenny Reese, owned and trained by her husband, who has been running nicely down at Fairgrounds, at least last season on the grass. With the grass situation at Fairgrounds this season, they haven't gotten quite a chance. But Strike Impact early in the career, 7th in the career debut, followed it up with a win. Another sibling from the dam, Parker Valley, 9th in the career debut, but then a couple of second-place finishes, and another sibling called Oscar Wildcat that in the first 3 starts had a couple of third-place finishes. So that's dam, some precociousness. It's not the kind that jumps off the page. Henny Hughes is interesting. The workouts are steady, but nothing spectacular. Trainer doesn't really get it done first time out. But again, I just looked at the rest of this field, and I couldn't find anything to get excited about. So I'm going for the fresh face German Chocolate, but without a lot of confidence. The horse with experience that probably is going to be the one to beat, number 4, Tazdu. Ronnie Allen on board, and this horse has plenty of early speed. Now, last time out, dueled early and then faded. That was at 7 furlongs. I think the cut back to 6 today, and perhaps more likely being the lone speed in here, as I say, could make Tazdu the one to beat. And then in the third spot, the number 2, Nave Do Well. 4 to 1 on the morning line. That seems a little short to me, given the career debut. But morning line odds maker may be looking at the same things I'm looking at. This horse in the career debut, went off at a 7-1 price and had some trouble. So I think this may be a horse or a race you just draw a little bit of a line through. And on the second start, Knave Do Well, maybe one that could be a little bit interesting in here. And off of that career debut, the morning line odds maker may have seen the trouble line and the odds, but off of that career debut, wouldn't shock me if the betting public kind of let this one float up a little bit. In the third at Tampa, 5, 4, 2, and 1.
And I'm just checking. I'm seeing if they're going to run at Oaklawn Park this afternoon. Fourth race on the card, 4-year-olds and up. Claimers in for 8,000. Non-winners of 2 races in a lifetime. Racing 6.5.
We got Frank Miramati on Racing Across America too, so it could be a short show.
Wow.
But again, on the weekend, we're going to touch on. They have a nice weekend.
Wow.
There, they have the Essex, the rescheduled King Cotton, and then on the weekend, on the holiday Monday, the Southwest.
Yeah.
So we'll talk a little bit about all that, regardless. Fourth at Tampa this afternoon, 3, 1, 9, and 5. The number 3 is Danielle's Honor. Just has some fairly consistent recent numbers. I mean, you go 2 starts back, threw in a little bit of a dud, but those were bookended by numbers that I think are going to be very, very competitive with this field. Broke the maiden 3 starts back, bounced into this non-winners of 2 condition, 2 starts back, and just seems to have figured it out over the last couple of starts. I think Danielle's Honor is going to be interesting. Second spot, the number 1, Dub. Comes over from Gulfstream off of a good try, so maybe a little venue relief, although moves from a 6,250 level up to 8,000. However, this horse had been racing against better earlier in the career, so I think this is still going to be absolutely within the comfort zone. Third spot will go out to the number 9, Henry the Great. Another one coming in from Gulfstream. Another one probably getting a little venue class relief. This one also had been at that 6,250 level most recently, and really hasn't done much there. But I think the move over to Tampa may provide, as I say, just a little bit of venue relief that may give this one a wake-up call. And then the horse I have in my 4th spot, Wambry. I would certainly take a look at that horse, 8-1 on the morning line if that price holds up. Last couple of starts here at Tampa, not so good. So this may be a little bit of a negative horse for a course kind of a situation. But boy, there's certainly some numbers back on the page that fit absolutely with this bunch. And it's one of those kind of races where some of them just don't have some recency. There are things you can make cases for and against a bunch in here. So I would certainly not argue playing around and trying to find something in this race. Whatever angle you like, go with it, because then a little bit of anything could happen in here. But I have a 3, 1, 9, and 5.
On to the 5th race. We have 4-year-olds and up. Claimers in for 8,000. Non-winners of 2 races in a lifetime. Racing 6.5.
7, 1, 5, and 4. The number 7 is World Tour, 8-5 on the morning line, and put in a pretty nice comeback, and I just think is best on the buyers. This horse had been off from February of last year until January 25th. Nice second place finish on the comeback, and if you look, as I say, overall the buyer numbers just have a clear edge on the vast majority in this bunch. So we'll go with World Tour on top. Again, master of the obvious on the morning line price. Second spot, Chosen Heir. Nice 60 buyer figure, 2 starts back. Last time, threw in a dud, and it's just one of those where you look and you think, is that a little bit of a bounce? And if so, this horse may get back closer to that race, 2 starts back on the comeback today. So again, a little bit of a bounce angle perhaps in here with the number 1 Chosen Heir. And then the number 5, I'm Quick. This one tossed in a nice 60 buyer figure last time. That was in a maiden breaker at a 20 tag. Comes back at the $8,000 level. I think off of the last, this horse has shown a little bit of ability to perhaps be in the hunt with this particular bunch, but gets that 10-pound apprentice I mentioned earlier, who's showing no wins so far. So I can't move this one up any higher. The 10-pound apprentice hasn't had many rides. Going to get a breakthrough at some point, and certainly is capable of, when being on the right horse, I would assume, getting up there in the hunt. So I'm going to put I'm Quick in the mix off of that last race. 5th race this afternoon at Tampa, 7, 1, 5, and 4.
Well, the Daily Racing Form, they're saying that training has been canceled at Oaklawn Park this morning. They posted that about 18 minutes ago, and I remember it's only about 8:25 in the morning there, but they are believing they are going to race later on this afternoon. Half the race card in the books at Tampa Bay. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, the second half.
I'm Seth Merrill. Join me weekdays at 10 for Racing Across America. We'll look at important races from around the country, get insight from top handicappers and analysts, and preview the upcoming week in racing. That's Racing Across America, weekdays at 10, right here on the OTB TV network. The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at capitalotb.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I got it. Watch me. I got it. Hey! I got something that makes me want to shout. I got something that tells me what it's all about. I got a move that tells me what to do. If you don't, brothers and sisters, then you won't know what it's all about.
Funding your Capital OTB bet account is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Easy Money. Clearly the fastest and easiest method of depositing funds into your account. Make deposits or withdrawals in just minutes. 2. Green Dot Money Pack. Gives you instant access to your funds. Green Dot Money Packs are available at thousands of retailers nationwide. And 3. MasterCard Visa. Simply click on the link from the funding page, enter your account information, and fund your account. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Hey race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, and amazing Vegas-style atmosphere. The Clubhouse Racebook, 711 Central Avenue, Albany.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report alongside Seth Merrill. I am Anthony Mormino. We're up to race number 6 at Tampa Bay Downs. And what we have an official, Laurel has canceled. That's Dave
according
Rodman's
to their
word.
Twitter feed.
Not a surprise. The Mid-Atlantic getting inundated. We're hoping to run at Oak Lawn today. On to the 6 4-year-olds and up. Fillies and Mares. Claimers in for $12,500. Racing 6.5.
4, 8, 2, and 5. I will say that one's kind of interesting with Daniel Centino and some speed. So if you go in that direction, I wouldn't argue with you at a little bit of a price. But I put the 4 on top. Ridge Kitten. 3-race win streak with some improving numbers. So this horse just seems to be really at home down here at Tampa. Has raced here prior to this season, and overall 8 career starts, 4 wins and a second at Tampa. But again, most of those this season. So on the return to Tampa, Ridge Kitten has really found a home down here. And as I say, seems to be doing so in an improving fashion. Number 8, Tampa Bay Yankee, won a similar race last time. I've said it plenty of times. If they face similar company, similar distance and whatnot, and run very well, why not use them right back again the next time? So I have Tampa Bay Yankee in off of that race that was very similar in the latest effort. And then the number 2, Spittin' Feathers, who has some good speed and just seems to be in some good form right now. Last couple of Tampa, a win and a second-place finish, and before coming to Tampa, a win at Churchill Downs. So a couple of wins in the last 3 starts, bookending a good second-place finish. And again, the buyer figures moving in the right direction and signal good form and some nice early speed. So Spittin' Feathers certainly will be competitive with this bunch. In the 6th, 4, 8, 2, and 5.
On to the 7th race, our first adventure on the turf if it goes off as scheduled. 4-year-olds and up. Fillies and Mares, maiden claimers in for 25, racing the mile.
8, 9, 1, and 4. The number 8 is Alexita. This is a horse, couple of career starts so far, both in maiden special weight company. One was last January of 2013 at Gulfstream, and then came back off a long layoff late December here at Tampa. Ran an okay 5th that day in a field of 10. Seemed like a good effort that showed this horse on the comeback, has some fitness, now moves that potent maiden special to maiden claiming move. Just seems like the first couple of starts have put this horse in a spot where it could be ready to pop with the class relief today. So I'll go Alexita on top. Number 9, Starship Secret. This is a horse that is coming in off a long layoff. Career debut December of 2012. Followed it up in January of 2013. Been off since then. Both of those were over at Gulfstream. Number-wise, I think this horse is a little bit interesting with this bunch if able to fire those numbers off the layoff. That's going to be the the question mark here did attract Fernando de la Cruz for the comeback effort, though that also attracted my attention. Third spot, Dixie Doodle Dandy. Dixie Doodle Dandy, surprisingly, started the career over in Europe, although maybe not surprisingly, because the whole Dixie Doodle guy was racing over in Europe. That's where he made his name, I guess. But this one came over to the United States, and a couple of decent starts since arriving, both over at Gulfstream. So again, it's kind of that venue class relief. The first start in the United States, a 40 tag at Gulfstream, showed some good speed and got caught to be a decent fourth. Last time had a closing effort at the 25 tag. I think 25 at Tampa, as I say, is going to provide a little class relief. Third start back off a layoff, could be primed to run well. In the seventh, 8, 9, 1, and 5.
On to the eighth race. We're going to have 4-year-olds and up, fillies and mares. Optional claimers in for 16. Non-winners of 1 other than going the popular 6.5.
8, 6, 10, and 2, and I'll say once I got down to those third and fourth positions, I also looked very closely at the 5, Spanish Ambassador, but the trainer's just a little cool at the meet, so I didn't quite pull the trigger on the 5, but I wouldn't argue with somebody putting that one in the mix. Number 8, though, Long-Legged Girl. It's Jamie Ness. It's Midwest Thoroughbreds. They race so well down there at Tampa. You have to pay attention to all their horses, and I just think this one, on the numbers and the complexion of the rest of this field, is a pretty good fit in here today. Fernando de la Cruz on board. Second spot, we'll go with the number 6, On High Alert. Get some venue and price class relief that might bring an effort today closer to the ones we saw last summer. This horse, first couple of starts of the career at Ellis Park, they were pretty good efforts with good numbers, good finishing positions, and just seemed to be on a regression. Finally, with an eased effort last time over at Gulfstream Park. But again, moving over to Tampa today at a little bit of a lower level with the venue relief, I'm hoping we get closer to the talent we saw earlier in the career, because certainly that's going to be good enough to put this one in the mix. Ronnie Allen accepts the assignment. And in the third spot, we will go with Gutierrez Gal, the number 10 horse. Good comeback effort, 2 races back. Maybe a bounce last time, but it was also a move to the turf, so maybe just didn't take to the grass that day. Now we get turf to dirt, and as I say, second off the claim. That could be interesting as well. So just a few factors in here. Santino on board. Just a few factors that I think the number 10 is going to be a player in with this bunch today. In the Tampa 8th, I have it 8, 6, 10, and 2.
In the finale, 3-year-old fillies, maiden claimers in for 32, scheduled to go a mile to 16th on the turf.
4, 3, 6, and 9. The number 4 is Gabby's Purim. The trainer Tommy Proctor and Ronnie Allen, limited starters so far at Tampa, but when they do combine, they do so very successfully. So I like the trainer jock team, and this is one that in the 5th career start just seems to be primed for a breakthrough. It's kind of taking some time to really figure the game out. Second start of the career at Churchill was pretty good, then regressed at Tampa, 2 starts back, but last time bounced back. So as I say, just seems to be moving in the right direction and primed for a good effort. Number 3, Arabelle in the second spot, goes out for Kathleen O'Connell, and this is a horse that certainly has progressed in the first 2 starts. So another one I think is primed for today's effort off of the last couple, just moving in the right direction. We'll go with the first-time starter in the 3rd spot, number 6, Prado Bay, with Fort Prado on top. Trainer not really showing many stats first time out of the box. Also a little light at the meet with wins, having none in 12 starts, but steady string of works, and I think this horse with a little bit of breeding could be kind of interesting in here today. So in the finale, in the 9th race, I have it 4, 3, 6, and 9.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, Gulfstream Park.
This is Steve Beck. Join me Tuesday through Saturday here on OTB TV for At the Races, my Sirius XM daily news magazine of the thoroughbred industry. Handicapping, interviews, analysis, everything you could want. 6 a.m. OTB TV.
Hey, race fans, head down to the all-new Clubhouse Racebook and get in the game. With live horse racing on more than 250 flat-screen TVs, state-of-the-art wagering terminals, fantastic food and drinks, an amazing Vegas-style atmosphere with seating for nearly 900 of your closest friends. Conveniently located at 711 Central Avenue, right off exit 5 of I-90 in Albany, the Clubhouse Racebook is the better choice.
Each morning on the OTB TV network, you get the very best in horse racing programming. Weekdays begin with the Handicappers Report, where professional handicappers share their selections and analysis of the day's racing. Followed by Racing Across America, a daily conversation with racing personalities from around the country. Saturdays include Down the Stretch, where Mark Casano speaks with the biggest names in racing. And Sunday mornings, it's Loose on the Lead, where Steve Bick and I offer news and a unique lineup of weekly guests. All here on the OTB TV network.
Wagering at CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Capital Bet TV, the fastest and easiest online wagering experience where you can monitor 5 different tracks simultaneously. 2. Capital Bet Express. Its straightforward program layout and interactive handicapping information lets you build your wager quickly and efficiently. And 3. Capital Bet Pro, designed especially for the professional horse player. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Missed one of our TV shows? No worries. Now you can catch all your favorite programs online. Simply log on to CapitalOTB.com and click on the YouTube link at the bottom of the homepage. And look for our new podcast coming soon. CapitalOTB.com. Log on today.
Welcome back to the Handicappers Report for this Thursday morning, this winter warning Thursday morning, but should be fine at the tracks we're looking at, Tampa and Gulfstream, and we will shift our attention now to Gulfstream Park. Race number 1 today, an allowance optional claimer, optional claiming prices of $10,000, starter allowance tags of $6,000. These are fillies and mares 4-year-olds and up. They'll go the 1-turn mile.
Yes, Seth, I'd have to say that our biggest worries for Tampa Bay and Gulfstream Park are off the turf races, but that there will be racing conducted in the state of Florida this afternoon. In the opener, 248, ladies and gentlemen, as we race the 1-turn mile. And Peter Walder, who's having a very nice meet, sends out this runner shipping in from Laurel from Ben Feliciano. We see the Feliciano's jockey and trainer doing well yesterday in the late double at over at Tampa Bay Downs, but Joel Rosario gets them out on this horse, making the first start since Saturday, December 7th. This horse has a very, very good running style, should sit off of the pace, making the Gulfstream Park debut this afternoon. For second, number 4, going out with Mr. Jamafi, who we see over at Tampa Bay, making the second start since winning racing the 1-turn mile in a dated claiming race on October 19th. Made a start 2 months later on the turf. That's going to be a toss for me. So on this runner at Gulfstream Park, getting back to the dirt in good form, could be a major player at 8-1 or better. And for third, number 8, going I Ain't Gonna Lie. Terrible English, but we'll move forward with this first off the $25,000 claim for the powerful Wayne Catalano barn. Dylan Davis has the scheduled mount. 248 in the Gulfstream Park opener.
Race number 2 is a conditional claimer. Claiming tags $20,000. The condition non-winners are 2 lifetime. These are 4-year-olds and up. Again, the 1-turn mile.
3, 5, 4 will be my selections in here, and number 3 is Unbridled Saint, going out for Alan Iwinski, whose barn certainly has not come back to the prowess that we saw before he went into a self-imposed retirement. Joe Rocco Jr., he gets the mount back after finishing aboard this horse to a 3rd-place finish, beating 2 lengths, and we basically have been monitoring Joe Rocco, and I think, you know, talked about Joe Bravo winning 2 yesterday, and I know Joe is probably around 10, 11%, as is Joe Rocco, but they're having very nice Gulfstream Park meets. For second, number 5, Matisse, going out for Michael Dilger, a good second-place finish under Jose Caraballo, who had a victory yesterday. Just lost aboard this horse coming off of a turf race on Groundhog Day, getting beat 1 length and a quarter. For third, number 4, Victory Counts. It certainly does, coming off of the first off the $8,000 claim. That was back on June 23rd. Now makes the Gulfstream Park debut with Dylan Davis in the saddle. 3, 5, and 4.
Third at Gulfstream this afternoon is a maiden race, maiden claiming event at $20,000 tags. These are 4-year-olds and up. Scheduled on the grass, 7.5.
You know, I meant to say something earlier today. I missed it, Seth. And I have to tell you something. If you watched the 3rd race at Tampa Bay yesterday, the jockeys, you know, the little jockey discussion on the Fox FS1 broadcast the other day, Seth and I picked up on Monday, boy. I don't know how he pronounces his name, whether it's Mattia, I don't know. But watch the third race. Go to your race replays at capitalotbbet.com. Watch the third race from Tampa yesterday. And somebody please try and explain to me what the jockey was doing. And this is one of the problems we have without the media being on. Seth, it was either broken equipment or that young man should get dazed for careless riding, because it was awful. I was watching it unfold, and I'm like, what is he doing? And into the first turn, it was awful. So I like to see what happened yesterday, because jockeys are very important. 4, 5, and 1. We go the 7.5 furlongs that they are just continuing marching to. Swear gets my top pick in here with Dylan Davis, who gets the mount this afternoon for this runner with Julian Leparoux aboard most recently. Going the 7.5 furlongs, just put in a terrific run. I'd like to see that come back this afternoon. I think we find the winner's circle in the 5th career start on the turf at Gulfstream Park. And one thing that I thought I had noticed over the weekend at Gulfstream Park was that speed on the turf has gotten even better. And I mean front end speed had gotten very good. I've talked about the turf course at Gulfstream Park, and we're in about the middle of the regular meet. Boy, it looks chopped up throughout wherever they put the rail, but I thought that front end speed had gotten even better, and Swear, I think, could possess that type of speed. For second, number 5, going out for Bobby Robato, a big wake-up call most recently, going 7.5 when running for a tag. They come back at the same exact level, and I've talked about Abdiel Gian, who I think is going very nicely, quietly at this meet. For a third, number 1, Minstrel Road, making the 3rd career start for Eddie Keneally. All have been for a tag. Started at 40, has come down, now bottoms out at 20. And Julian Leparoux, who had the most recent mount on my top 2 horses, took off to ride the 1-4-5-1 in the 3rd.
And I had one of those races, one of those rides the other day, and I've forgotten which track it was now. It was about a week ago. Coming into the first turn, my jockey kind of runs up on heels and has obviously the best horse, but it goes up on heels, boom, and then does it again, at which point the horse just checks out of the race. And you would like, I've called for it for years now, a daily stewards report on the websites. Not just this, what were the rules and what we said, but we called the jock in, what happened, and some explanation. And certainly, if there is an you would think the jockeys and trainers would want, if there was an equipment problem, put that out there. But also, if it is the jockey, what did the stewards do to kind of mitigate this problem from happening
I have to tell you, I've watched many races through the years. It was one of the worst scenes I've ever seen. I'll give you the closest example. It would be as if you were on the Northway in the middle lane going about 65 miles an hour, and you see sort of like traffic around you, and you see a car in your rearview mirror in the same exact lane, clearly going appreciably faster than you, and you're looking around. There's no way out, and I'm the guy, and I got to tell you, you have to watch it. Not only does he rush up, he rushes up in between horses, and when he drops himself, the one jockey on the outside looks over like, what were you doing here? Like, it's really
that actually
ugly.
Sounds very similar to I'm going to have to look up mine now, maybe give him a comparison.
It was, I actually got to tell you something. The guy dropping himself, I thought, was the best. Not that he should have got injured, he hurt himself, but it was the least amount of damage I thought could get done. Watches, you have to watch it. It's like I said, it's a 2-turn race into the first turn, and you will see right away when he misses the break. I mean, it unfolds in front of your eyes like a traffic accident that you see, and then unfortunately have to experience. It's awful.
4th today at Gulfstream, yet another optional claimer starter. Is this a split division of that earlier race? Because it seems like the same.
You know what? I see that so infrequently.
Like
I used to denote that 10, 15 years ago.
No, because it's a different distance. It's a different
We
track.
have so few horses.
Yeah. But it's the same claiming tag at 10, starter allowance is 6. This time, 4-year-olds and up, though, they're going to go 6 furlongs.
You know, well, when Tampa Bay opened up, you know, Seth had some quotes from Jamie Ness and trying to throw cold water. I never pay attention to any of that stuff. He's been doing great at Tampa since day one. He's had few horses running at Gulfstream Park, but you know their operation Midwest Thoroughbreds. It's just eyes forward. Number 2, 6, 7 are my selections, and Untethered gets my top pick on a roll, trying to make it 4 in a row. 3 for 5 Lifetime. Doesn't matter if it's an off racetrack or a clear, fast racetrack. Luis Saez back in the saddle for my top pick. For second, number 6, County Gun, who's 12-1 on the morning line and coming out of a very, very good effort before fatiguing and finishing third under Jose Carabala. Now, you talk about jockeys flying under the radar screen. Edgar Zayas is at 15%, ladies and gentlemen, having a fantastic meet. He gets the call today. And for third, needing no introduction, number 7, Grand Jet Setter Eddie Plisa Jr. sends out the runner who was 3 for 4 Lifetime at Gulfstream Park, coming off of a victory most recently in a Capital B 20,000. Gets the outside, gets Joel Rosario back in the saddle, 2-6-7.
Fifth race this afternoon, a starter allowance at the $50,000 level, 4-year-olds and up, scheduled on the grass, mile and a 16.
And I'm not saying I salivated this race because I think it's very deep. And I've said this before, when I like horses that I think are going to be a price, I would rather have one hurdle at 3-5 or 4-5 than to have 5 hurdles at about 3-1. It just seems to be too many. I think this race on paper is ultra competitive. The 9 is an MTO, so it's the 8 in here. And I have to tell you that even the 15-1 shot, number 6, Stall Walking Dude, I think it could be very competitive in here. 3-8-7. Make It Gold is a horse I like very much on the card this afternoon. An offspring of Badge of Silver, who to me, boy, I'll tell you, for a price tag that's under $7,500, boy, you're going to get a middle distance, turf runner, dirt. I even think as a Son of Silver deputy, he's better as a turf stallion going middle distance. Paco Lopez gets them out. We're 2 for 7 Lifetime on the turf, and this horse is just very, very, very sharp. Gets back to the turf for the first time since running at the Big A. But before that, a brilliant performance at Belmont. Comes back at the starter allowance level today with Paco Lopez going in the saddle for Jason Service. For second, number 8, Cage Fighter, who's 5-2. Michael Maker, the Ramseys, Julian Leperoux. They claim this horse for $50K in the third career start at Kentucky Downs for Steve Asmussen. They go for 3 in a row off of that claim. And for third, number 7, Whisper on the Wind. A gigantic price in here for the offspring of Flower Alley, 3-8-7.
All right, that brings us to our last break of the hour. When we come back, we'll continue our look at Gulfstream Park. Stay tuned.
I'm Steve Beck.
And I'm Seth Merrill.
Together, we're Loose on the Lead on Capital OTB, Sundays at 10 a.m. Why should they watch, Seth?
Sit down on Sunday, have a bagel, get some great racing conversation.
Cream cheese only, no jelly. Sundays, 10 a.m., Loose on the Lead, Capital OTB.
Using CapitalOTBBet.com is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1. Simply log on with your username and password from the homepage. 2. Fund your Capital OTB account through our Easy Money, Green Dot, or Visa MasterCard options. And 3. Place your bet on one of our 3 easy-to-navigate wagering platforms, Capital Bet TV, Capital Bet Express, or Capital Bet Pro. CapitalOTBBet.com. Log on today.
Here in upstate New York, no one provides bettors with more wagering options than Capital OTB. Our network of branch and easy bet locations stretches from the mid-Hudson Valley all the way to the Canadian border and west to central New York. So whether you need to place a bet, fund your Capital Bets account, or watch the next big race, all the action is just around the corner. A full list of our branch and easy bet locations can be found online at CapitalOTB.com. Capital OTB, the better and most convenient choice for wagering in upstate New York.
The Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back. That's right. The 2014 Capital OTB Handicapping Challenge Series is back, and it's your chance to win thousands in cash and prizes, and a seat at the 2015 Handicapping Championship in Las Vegas. This month's contest is the Shamrock Showdown on March 1st. So sign up today, online at CapitalOTB.com, or stop in at the Clubhouse Racebook.
I'm Mark Cassano. Join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch. We'll inform, analyze, and welcome in the biggest names in racing. So join me Saturday mornings at 10 for Down the Stretch, right here on the OTB television network.
Welcome back. Continuing now our look at Gulfstream Park for this afternoon. Their race number 6, another optional starter allowance, both at the 25,000 level. 3-year-olds, and they will be going 6 furlongs.
3-6-1, my selections, and the 3 who won the career debut rather impressively, which I always think is quite an accomplishment. Then after that career debut victory on the dirt, tried turf, taking on winners. That didn't go so well, got back to the dirt, and I like the marked improvement going a mile. We get back to sprinting, which is where this horse broke the maiden, going 5.5 on Gulfstream Park. 12-1 on the morning line, my top pick. The 3 for second. Number 6, Take Time to Pray, going out for the first time after a $16,000 claim, when the beaten favorite at 8-5, coming back this afternoon with Javier Castellano in the saddle at a 4-1 morning line. And for third, number 1, going out for the 4th career start, getting Lasix today. In the 2nd career start, broke the maiden in the Gulfstream Park debut, going 6 under. Abdiel Gian, 3-6-1 in the 6th.
7th is a maiden claimer, 25 tags, 3-year-olds, going a mile and a 16th on the grass.
Number 11 is a main track only, and I think these are the type of races that I have salivated for the last 2 or 3 racing seasons at Gulfstream Park that are being most injured by Calder running concurrently. And injured in this case, I mean by having full fields and usually 2, 3, or 4 also eligibles. We have 10 in here for the turf. And it's 7-1-5. Rumble Time gets my top pick. Roger Atfield has Emma Jane Wilson scheduled to ride this runner for the 2nd career start, getting Lasix for the debut for the first time today after debuting on the synthetic at Woodbine, going 7/8 for this offspring of Aftermarket. For second, drawing the rail, number 1, Stormby, going out this afternoon on the turf after a good second race since coming down to South Florida, has been balloons on the board in maiden claimant, comes back to 25 after I thought a nice effort 8 days ago. For third, number 5, a very, very sharp effort, 2 races back in the 2nd race on the turf, and then raced well on an off the turf on the slop, 7-1-5 in the 7th.
8th race this afternoon is a conditional claimer, 20 to 30,000 tags, non-winners at 2 lifetime. The condition, fillies and mares, 4-year-olds and up, 3/4 of a mile.
2-8-1, my selections, ladies and gentlemen. And Lake Michigan gets my top pick for David Fawkes and Corey Landry, who found the winner's circle yesterday. Corey Landry with the Dale Romans runner. They add blinkers this afternoon. I like the Gulfstream Park debut most recently, going 7 furlongs. I know we finished off the board, beaten nearly 10 lengths at almost 12-1, but that was a sharp effort off of the September Churchill Downs race. I think a nice tune-up for today's spot, which is precipitously softer. You have a restricted 2L. This horse was exiting an entry-level allowance. For second, number 8, Dixie Hot Shot, going out with Aubrey Ra in the saddle, who has been the regular rider of this horse. A good effort most recently in a restricted claimer. After the loss, steps up today, $17,500 in the same 2L. For third, number 1, Making Havoc. Jane Sibili claimed this horse for $20,000, sends out this runner for the first time since his claim. Nearly a 35% first off the claim with Joel Rosario in the saddle. 2-8-1.
9th race this afternoon, yet another optional claimer starter allowance. This time the tag 16, the starter allowance condition 10. They are going a mile and a 16th on the grass.
7-1-6, and Tom Kitten gets my top pick. This horse was on a winning streak over at Calder, had that winning streak snap. 2-5 on the board. Remember that race a couple years ago before the Alabama? I think we had 6 on the line. Grassy won it. Well, how about 5 on the line, and you finished 5th, being half a length with Orlando Boca Chica in the saddle, who had a victory yesterday, and of course had the huge victory on Saturday. What lock do you pay? $80, I think, to win the Grade 1. For second, number 1, Ocean 7, a good off-the-board finish at nearly 50-1 at Gulfstream Park, racing the rare mile and 7/16. And for third, number 6, Romans Avenue, with Irad Ortiz in the saddle. This horse has never been out of the exacta in the 2 Gulfstream Park turf races. And I've wondered on days like today, Seth, on big days when a jockey goes to ride a horse, the connections pick up the fee. I always wonder, Irad Ortiz has been jetting down there on these days off. I wonder if he just racks up the frequent flyer miles on his own dime in these type of cases. But if you've noticed, he's gone down there on the dark day and had some success and then flown right back. That's it.
Oh, the 10th race today, optional claiming event, claiming tags. And again, it's an optional claim or starter allowance. Both are at the 35,000 level, though. These are 3-year-old fillies. They'll go 7.5 on the grass.
It's probably my fault. You're waiting for me to say 7-1-6 in the ninth, which is usually the buzz, and I let it go. 8-3-6 in the finale, ladies and gentlemen. And Principe Sagina gets my top pick, a $35,000 claim, 2 races back. A very sharp effort first off of that claim. Irad Ortiz gets the mount this afternoon for second, number 3. Fortunate Pearl, Graham Motion's runner. I know it's probably said of me about favorites and short prices. Boy, I have to tell you, 3-1 would be quite attractive here. I think that's folly, though. I think you're looking at 7-5 for this offspring of Mineshaft, who won the career debut for a tag at Tampa and then raced well as the beaten favorite in starter allowance in the second career start. Now makes the Gulfstream Park debut. For third, number 3, Lily got even. Very, very nice victory. Second time on the turf, catching a firm turf after running well in the turf debut on a yielding turf. Both of those races were at Calder. Now takes on the winners for the first time. Figures to be a gigantic price in here, but I think is a live wire. 8-3-6 in the 10th and final from Gulfstream Park. Well, we're going to take a look this afternoon on Capital Off-Track Betting. We have Tampa Bay kicking it off, followed by Gulfstream, Fairgrounds, and then we are hoping to get Oak Lawn Park in the mix this afternoon. Santa Anita, Golden Gate, Dover, Buffalo, Northfield, and the Meadowlands. If you missed any of Seth's selections for Tampa Bay Downs or mine for Gulfstream Park, please go to CapitalOTB.com, click on the Handicappers Report. You'll get all of our selections. We invite you to also go to CapitalOTBBet.com, our state-of-the-art wagering platform. Sign up for an account today, and once you bet $50, you get $50 on the house. Nothing, I say it all the time, one of the best things to repeat, nothing like free money at the racetrack. Up next, Seth, who do we think we're going to have on Racing Across America?
We know we're going to have him, but we're just not sure what we're going to talk about, perhaps. John De Silva from RacingWithBruno.com. He'll probably take a look at some of the action this afternoon. Typically, he looks at New York racing, but tomorrow at Aqueduct looks a little dicey. So he's going to pick up something for today. Dave Rodman from Laurel, and again, according to their Twitter feed, they've canceled, but they have the nice stakes weekend, so we'll look out at the Campbell and the Fritchie. Frank Miramati from Oak Lawn Park.
No General George?
This weekend?
Isn't it usually the President's Day big race with the Barbara Fritchie, the 2 big 7-furlong races?
It could be on.
Oh, they're running the Fritchie on Sunday?
They're running both of these on Saturday.
Oh,
yeah, they
very
got both
nice.
of these on Saturday, and then Oak Lawn. We'll keep our fingers crossed that they're running this afternoon, so we'll get some thoughts about that from Frank Miramati. But they have a nice stakes weekend as well. The Essex, the rescheduled King Cotton, and on Monday for them is going to be the Southwest.
Southwest, which now at a mile and a 16th, they changed it last year, and will take charge. Won it last year at a big price. That wraps up the Handicappers Report. Ladies and gentlemen, be safe out there. Enjoy your racing. We'll see you back here next time.
You're watching OTB TV, a service of Capital Off-Track Betting.